And away we go.
And now, the moment you've all been waiting for, the one, the only, the Bradley Hall.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I want to welcome you to today's edition of the Bradley Hall Show. And I am your host, the Bradley Hall. Hi. As you've guessed it by now, I am the Bradley Hall. I wanted you to know that I am a certified trauma recovery coach and a certified mindfulness instructor and a certified holistic life coach. Now, what this means is that I am a trauma-informed holistic life coach with a focus on awareness, which is the first step to any type of personal growth. Let my 30 years of coaching and my experience overcoming trauma work for you. To work with me, go to my website, thebradleyhall.com. Look for the coaching tab in the upper right-hand corner. You can choose holistic life coaching or trauma recovery coaching. Anyone who ever accomplished anything had a great coach or a great mentor. You should too. You're worth it. Contact me now. I am proud to announce that today's episode, as well as every episode this month during NPE Awareness Month, is brought to you in partnership between The Bradley Hall Show and the NPE Friends Fellowship. You can find out more information at npefellowship.org. I know you're a big movie buff. The Matrix is actually one of my favorite movies because it's so prophetic and philosophically deep. The more you watch it, the more you get out of it. And they're working on a fourth one. I don't know if you knew that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah. He's simultaneously recording the fourth John Wick film and the Matrix 4. He's working on them simultaneously. So, have you watched any of the John Wick movies?
No, I haven't. Now I want to though.
They're violent, but they're really good. He does an amazing job. He trains so hard for them. Keanu Reeves is just one of my favorite actors. Yeah. So, all right, favorite NPE story, movie, or book that you want to share with our listeners?
Well, the first one that pops in my head is The Thornbirds. It was a made-for-TV miniseries that was 4 episodes. That's 10 hours long. I think the first and fourth episode are 3 hours, and the second and third one are 2 hours. Starring Richard Chamberlain and Rachel Ward. It's a phenomenal story. They have 2 NPEs in it. And it's interesting because that was a movie I loved for years before I ever found out I was an NPE myself. And now that I am aware of my own origins, it's amazing how I can go back and watch all these different stories that have NPE storylines, and I see them completely different now than I did then. It's an interesting study in self-reflection to remember how these storylines impacted me before and how they impact me now. And it also makes me a lot more compassionate to people who aren't going through this, because I can forgive them a lot easier when they say things like, well, it shouldn't matter. Or, what's the big deal? He's still your dad, like your friend did. I can forgive them a lot faster because I think, you know what? I felt the same way before this happened to me. I would have said the same thing you just said.
Yeah.
So, there was a couple of NPE storylines in the TV series Brothers and Sisters that I think the writers could have handled better. They did handle some elements of them well. I'm really looking forward to seeing more TV stories and movies that come out with these NPE storylines and showing an example of the better ways for a family to work through these surprise discoveries. I'm looking forward to those stories coming out, but I haven't seen them.
Yeah. That's an interesting point, and I'm sure it's on the table. This is a relatively new phenomenon. That'd be interesting to see how Hollywood treats that, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Let's shift gears a little bit. I'd like to talk a little bit more
Okay.
about the NPE Fellowship. Okay.
Okay.
You want to give a brief synopsis of the NPE Fellowship for listeners who may not know what that is?
Sure. In the first year of the DNA NPE Friends Facebook group, as it grew rapidly, we began to see more and more of a need for people who had made contact with their surprised biological parent. In most cases, it was the biological father. And they were like, okay, I finally got in touch with him. And he said that he would take the test to make sure he doesn't think he's my dad, but he said he'll take the test. But the problem is I don't have the money to send him a test, and he's not going to pay for one himself, and I don't know what to do. So our members were so compassionate and jumped in and said, well, I'll buy a test for him. And this happens several times. So we finally decided, you know what, we need to have some sort of a system in place to protect our members from being taken advantage of, to make sure that these people are genuine people and not just somebody that's out looking for a free test. So I said, well, let's set up an organization that can do these grants. And if you want to donate a test to the organization will then screen these people before we let them have a test. And then we'll pass the test on to really fast into a couple of other things that we're doing now. So we created the organization NPE Friends Fellowship as a nonprofit so that people could donate to it towards tests that we could give out, and also for a travel grant program that has only been used a few times. For example, if you find out that you're an NPE and you live in California and your biological father lives in New Jersey and he is 87 years old and his health is rapidly declining and he's about to go into dementia, and his family that he has with him has told you, listen, if you want to meet him, you need to come this week because he's declining pretty quick. Well, you've been saving up your money to go visit him in 6 months, but you don't have that enough money saved yet for that trip. And you know that you need to get to him quickly or you're going to miss the opportunity to meet him. Our organization will screen and confirm that this is a valid need. And once we've confirmed that, then we will issue a travel grant. And usually what we've done is we've either made the rental car reservation for somebody who needed to travel 500 miles and they just wanted to rent a car to get there, and they already had their accommodation set up, but they just couldn't afford a car rental. So we rented the car for them. Another one was getting a plane ticket to go meet her father. And we supplemented, we couldn't pay for the whole plane ticket, but we supplemented and gave her some money towards it. We are a small organization. We don't have deep pockets. But we do what we can to help our members so that they can make contact with their family if they're possibly on their deathbed or whatever. They're not doing well. So it started out to be a travel grant program and a DNA test kit program where we would send out DNA test kits to the prospective parent or prospective sibling if the parent was deceased, so that they could get confirmation that they are related to each other. We're very proud of these programs, and we're happy to be able to help our NPEs get the answers that they need. And from there, we have grown into different educational initiatives. We've got some work going on right now to prepare some videos that we're going to have available for people to watch that are going to be very informative and educational and helpful for NPEs and their families who are struggling with this new discovery. So there's a lot of things that we want to do. We've put on a couple of conferences and retreats. We've had a couple of daytime seminars. We'd like to be able to do more of that. Another thing I'm very proud of is that I have been asked to present at the 8th World Congress on Family Law and Children's Rights in Singapore. I was supposed to be traveling there in July, but because of the coronavirus, it has been put off for 1 year. So the goal is I will be going to Singapore in July of 21 to represent the NPE Friends Fellowship and the NPE community and carry our message to the people who are the lawmakers worldwide. These are the people who are looking for new ideas on things they can do to change laws to protect children and to do what's in the best interest of the child. And they have asked me to come. It's usually by invitation only, after a very lengthy application process to be a speaker at these things. But they reached out to me before they even started taking the applications and said, we want you to apply. So I consider it a huge honor that they want to hear our stories. They want a voice there for us. So that's one of the big things I'm planning on doing next year.
Wow, what an amazing platform to raise awareness for this entire cause. That's extremely exciting. Very
Yeah,
exciting.
it is.
So I have some inside information, so I'm going to kind of direct this in the way I want it to go.
Okay.
You do this of your own free will and accord. You don't make a dime off this, do you?
No, I don't. No, in fact, I think one of the goals I have for the fellowship, once we can get, we've grown so fast. We've grown because of the population of our community. We're having growing pains, obviously. So eventually, if we can get somebody in place who is a fundraising coordinator that can help us in that avenue, because I'm not an expert on nonprofits. I'm not an expert on anything really, except for keeping people alive. But my goal is to have a full-time staff at some point of at least 4 or 5 people that can focus all of their energy on the needs of the NPE community. It is a huge challenge for me. I work full-time for the county attorney's office in Montgomery County, Texas. I am also the primary caregiver of my little sister who has severe cerebral palsy and is on life support at home with nurses with her while I work. So my days are pretty full, and it's a challenge for me to be able to invest as much time as we need into the fellowship activities. We also have a wonderful volunteer in Rebecca Drumsta, who is our public relations director and coordinator. And she's really wears so many different hats, so many more than just that. And she has put in 40, 50, 60 hours a week sometimes, working on fellowship activities because she's committed to our cause. And again, she also has not profited one bit, not a penny from any of this.
In fact, it costs you both money to do this.
Yes,
it's coming out of both of you. It's coming out of your own pockets at times.
Yes, it does. I don't talk a lot about that because, in my opinion,
I know you don't. That's why I'm talking about it.
Well, everybody has different. Donate 10%, you tie it to your church or whatever, or you donate to different organizations, charitable organizations. And to me, I feel like this is my charitable organization that I'm invested in. So, and I see every single day when I go into the group, I see the healing happening there, and it's worth every penny that is spent. It's worth every penny to me to see that we are saving lives.
The reason you are, you absolutely are. And the reason that I brought this up and steered it the way I did is because I know that you don't like asking people for money, but I'm going to do it right now. You know, I joined the fellowship to contribute. That I bought the membership. I thought, I actually had a conversation with Michelle. I said, this is the least I can do because of what. And so I want to challenge any listeners who have benefited from the group to give back. There are ways. One is to become a member and for the annual membership. What is another way? I'm assuming that the fellowship accepts donations. How can someone do that? And before we give that information, I want to hit my point. I want people who have been a part of the organization, I want them to step back. I know anyone that I would engage in conversation and talk about the benefits of being a part of the group. Everyone responds immediately. They know exactly what I'm talking about. But I don't know that, because it's human nature, we get caught up in our lives and we go day to day. I don't know how often people think of it. So what I want people to do is to step back and really think about how the group has benefited them. And just the things that we talked about earlier, having people to understand, reading other people's stories, being able to, having people comment on your posts and stories, or the listeners, and getting feedback and changing the way we think, and kind of being this. There's so many dynamics to it that anyone who has gotten something out of it. And everyone's financial situation is different. So I don't know what it looks like. I don't care if it's $5. I don't care.
Right.
I don't care if it's $5,000. I don't care if it's $50,000. Whatever you can afford, and however that correlates to what you think you've gotten out of it, please, if you can, give back, because you have a lot of things that are going to cost money in the future. And we've had these discussions. I know that some things haven't moved as quickly because the finances aren't there. And again, I want to point out that you would never, if you've known that we were going to have this conversation, you probably would have never agreed to it. But I don't care. I don't care. I have had this conversation. I'm business minded, and I've had this conversation with my wife, and I just want to encourage people, if you can, please contribute and please pay this forward to help other people. There's a lot of things on board. And if you haven't been affected, but you know someone's been affected, or you're moved to help, we certainly love to have you get involved, and not just monetary, right? I mean, you're looking for volunteers as well.
I will say we've had several people that have come forward who said, I specialize in corporate planning, and I specialize in funding and different aspects, that it would be wonderful to have them volunteer, but then for one reason or another, it just never happens. And I'm not saying it's because of their lackadaisical. It's also me, because of how thin I'm spread. But we definitely need to put together a solid team of people who really will seriously, and this is something you need to really do a lot of soul searching on if you want to volunteer, to seriously commit to at least 1 year of so many hours per week, to invest your time as a volunteer, and map out a plan on what it is that your goals are for the fellowship, what it is that you feel like the fellowship will benefit from your expertise. That would be an enormous gift to the fellowship, in having people who are really seriously willing to roll up their sleeves and work side by side, other volunteers and our coordinator, Rebecca, or me, to accomplish the goals that we have.
Okay. Excellent. All right. We won't beat that to death. I don't want people, I want them to enjoy this experience, but I felt it was critical that we point that out. And, every organization needs support, and we need lots of it. So, all right, let's, I'd like to ask your advice for a few different types of people who may be listening. First of all, what would you like to say to newly discovered NPEs that may be listening?
If you just made your discovery in the past few days or past week or so, you're still in a state of shock, probably. You are not sure how much to invest your time and energy into thoughts about it. You'd probably try to dismiss it and think, you know what, I don't want to think about that right now because it's too hard, too painful, or you might be obsessing with it. Just know that this is definitely very similar to a trauma, like having a car accident, for example, or having a sudden death in the family that was unexpected. This is like a death. You deserve time to retreat, and it's really good for you to retreat into yourself and to just don't make any major life-changing decisions during this time. I think that when we are going through such a traumatic event and we are still trying to process what just hit us, what just blindsided us, we can make some decisions that later we may regret and go, gosh, I wish I'd waited on that. So I think it's really important not to make any sudden decisions to just pack up and move across country or quit your job or whatever. It's important.
Or maybe even confront new family members or old family members.
Right.
I mean,
exactly. Just take
give yourself a grace period.
Right. You just need to pause and breathe. And I could not express this strongly enough. Find our group. Go to DNA. Go on Facebook, and under groups, do a search for DNA NPE. If you do a search specifically for NPE Gateway, all one word, NPE is not parent expected, Gateway, do a search for that. That's our screening room where our admins will screen you and put you into the appropriate group. It could be for you. It could be for a parent of an NPE, a sibling of an NPE, cousin, co-worker. We have a place for anybody who wants to learn and to bring about awareness in the NPE community, and to get the tools that you need to heal. But especially for those specifically like us who are the NPEs, it's important that you surround yourself with people who are going to be supportive of you. So if you just made this realization, get on Facebook, find us, come into our haven of it's a sanctuary of peace and support and love and acceptance and compassion. That's what you need right now. And we can also help you navigate through what actions, if any, you should take based on your particular experience. If there's not a sense of urgency, if you don't have a parent that's, dying or whatever, then you need to take a minute and breathe and just, okay, well, let me get my feet on the ground again before I take any action. So I think that's the first thing I would say, is that you need to be surrounding yourself with people who understand. And another thing I want to say about our group, if I could, Brad, is that for somebody who's on the outside looking in, that's listening to this and wondering about our group, we treat our group very similarly to the way Alcoholics Anonymous treats their organization. Anything that happens in our group stays in our group. No one is allowed to share anything outside the group that is personal, that identifies you, whatever. You're not allowed to do screenshots and share them outside. If we're ever suspicious of something like that happening, if we ever see any evidence that somebody has done a breach in privacy like that, they would be immediately removed. But the blessing in all of this is, in the 3 years that our group has been together, I've yet to see anybody do any damage of exposing someone else to the public. It's because everyone that's in there has been carefully screened, and we're
through
all
the gateway. That's what the gateway is for. The
gateway is a screening station. It's a temporary stop on your way to the private, where you will be escorted in by an admin once you've been approved. So there's a great deal of respect among every member. I have never experienced a situation where you have 7,000 total strangers from 44 countries on 6 continents all together in the same spot, who say, I hear you, I see you, I understand you, and I am going to honor your privacy because I know you're going to honor mine. We've had people come into the group who have been panicked because they recognize somebody else that's in the group, and they go, oh my gosh, they're going to know that I'm an NPE. Well, guess what? They're there for a reason too. And they're counting on privacy and your respect of their privacy as much as you are counting on theirs. So just understand that we do treat our organization very similarly to AA. Everyone has a great deal of respect for each other's privacy. It is a safe place to vent, to share your rawest thoughts, emotions. People share such incredible vulnerabilities that they would never share anywhere else. And they're doing it with 7,000 strangers. And I am in awe of how well it all works. But it's definitely something that I would strongly recommend to anybody who's just making this discovery.
It's incredibly empowering, as we discussed a little while ago. One of the testaments to that is how often I see people say that they've been in the group for a while and they've read other people's stories, and they finally have the strength to share their own story. And that shows the power, the evolution of the empowerment of sharing that vulnerability with the group, to where people were able to process through just being there, just reading other people's stories, to elevate to another level where they finally could tell their own story. And that's amazing in its own right.
And isn't it so cathartic for each person to emotionally vent all these emotions and feelings and thoughts and fears and anxieties and angers, and they're all able to put this into this post sharing what their experience has been. And don't you know that they go away from that after they see all these comments saying, oh, I feel what you're feeling, I went through something similar, and this is what happened with me, and this is how I worked through it. Don't you know that they sleep better that night?
Absolutely.
It's probably one of the first get a good night's sleep after they're able to let all that out. It's very cathartic.
Yeah, telling our story, I'm very big on this. I talk about this in a lot of episodes. Telling your story neutralizes the shame. It normalizes the situation.
Yeah.
Yes. And this is a big part of that, because this isn't our fault. We
No.
didn't ask for any of this. This is one of those things. I mean, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. I brought on a lot of my own self-inflicted trauma, but this is one thing that I didn't ask for. I had nothing to do with this. This is something that hit me, and everyone's in the same boat, and the shame has no place here.
That's right. We are not the problem. We're the result of it. You know,
That's right.
And I think that that's one of the heartbreaking things about what I said earlier about how families don't always react with grace initially, is that once they've had a chance to get past all that fear, they're able to see clearer that, you know what, Brad didn't ask for this. Catherine didn't ask for this. They didn't cause this. And look what they're going through. And this isn't fair to them. And now sometimes they come back with regret and say, I'm really sorry about the way I treated you. So that's why it's really important that I tell people when they go through these really ugly situations with family, to understand that you need to learn to try to take it on the chin and forgive them as soon as they say it, because it's their fear talking, and this is just the middle of your story. It's not the end.
That's right.
Give it time. It can get better.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, what would you like to say to your current members of the fellowship and of the group?
To those who have financially supported the fellowship, I want to tell you thank you, and to tell you that every single penny that you have invested into our organization has gone to help other people. We're very frugal with our spending, and we look for the best deals that we can get whenever we have to make any kind of purchases. We work off a shoestring, but we're making it work, and it's because of your contributions that we've been able to do the things that we've done so far, and I thank you for it. For everyone who is a member of our DNA NPE Friends group, I want to tell you that every single one of you has played an enormous part in my own personal healing. This group was started with selfish motivation. I did it to try to find some help for me, just for me. And in doing so, it made me feel good to know that not only am I helping myself, I'm helping a few other people. You know, I set a lofty goal. Maybe we can find as many as 12. And here we are at over 7,300. We're at 7,300 now. And it's just amazing to me how every single one of you you're the reason why I can get a good night's sleep now, because you have validated how I feel about my experience. You have made me feel good about myself, because I know that what I'm doing now isn't just helping me, but it's helping you too. And I want to make a commitment to you that I'm not going away. I have all these ideas in my head of what we can do to help each other more. And once we can get all these programs and projects up and running, you're all going to benefit from it too. And I'm in awe of all of you. I'm in awe of how much you have been rising from the ashes and turning into beautiful creatures. And I know it hasn't been easy. I've walked this path with you in those dark tunnels, but we are finding our light again. And I'm challenging all of our newest members to understand that you are in this group to do the work towards inner peace, towards your own healing, towards your family's healing. I do not surround myself with victims. We are not victims. We are survivors of a horrible trauma, and we're turning something that may have started out as being ugly. We're turning it into something beautiful, and you're a part of that, and I love you for it. Thanks.
It's amazing. I thank you for that. And I want to also encourage members. You know, one of the things I say all the time is that the best way to be inspired is to work to inspire others. There's something unbelievably rewarding about helping other people that fosters an internal growth that you can't comprehend unless you experience it. And I know you know exactly what, because of this organization, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And through some of your family situations as well.
Yes. I like that word you just used, inspire. To be inspired is probably one of the best gifts you can give yourself. And I think that we should constantly be looking for ways to inspire ourselves. And in doing so, it bleeds off into other people. It spills out to them, and they're affected by it too. It's an amazing, it's like a little piece of magic that's happening in our community, and we see it every day. And I'm in awe. I'm just in awe.
Yeah. Yeah. And
This
I want to
group,
encourage all of our members to reach out to help other people. That's what advocacy is for. It's the same thing in things like AA, that working to help other people in their journey helps us grow
yeah,
tremendously. And I want to encourage all people to do that. And we have a great community. I mean, everyone, there are a lot of people who seem to do that, but there are some people that I think are maybe early in their journey, or they don't feel like they have anything to offer. And I want to assure you that I don't care who you are, you do have something to offer someone in the group, and you will benefit tenfold from helping someone else.
absolutely, absolutely. As this group was first growing and I was starting to meet people who had joined the group, I was actually overwhelmed when somebody would come up to me and say, "You saved my life." And I go, "Okay, that's a little overly dramatic. I didn't save your life. I just created a group." But it's, in the past 3 years, I've probably had people come up to me and say to me, you don't understand, Catherine. I was really close. I was really, really close to wanting to end everything. I didn't want to wake up in the morning. I didn't want to breathe anymore. But you gave me a reason. You gave me the hope I needed. And it's very intimidating to me. And it makes me feel like you guys are putting way too much value on me, because I'm just you. I'm you 3 years ago. I'm not that special. But the fact is, I look at our group and I see 7,200 souls who really, truly are special, that I would be proud to call any of them my family. And I consider us all sort of a family as it is anyway, because we have this incredible bond. But what you said about being inspired, you guys inspire me so much. So don't think for a second that I'm the one that's inspiring you. It goes back and forth. And there are little things that maybe you said something that was no big deal to you, and you probably don't even remember saying it in a comment to somebody, but it stuck in my heart and it mattered to me, and it gave me the comfort I needed that day, because I was out on a low. So don't think for a second that you're engaging back and forth in the group isn't significant to somebody, because every single one of them is. Everyone is.
Yeah, we're certainly all in this together, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I appreciate you being here more than you know. I want to run through. The website is www.npefellowship.org. You also, if anyone shops on Amazon, I say that jokingly, like who doesn't shop on Amazon? You can help support the organization through the Amazon Smile program. You just have to add, what exactly do they add for the charity? What are they looking for?
So instead of going to Amazon.com, if you log into smile.amazon.com, Amazon has this Smile program where you can select a nonprofit 501c3. They have to be qualified as a 501c3, and Amazon screens everyone who applies to become a qualified charity. We have been approved. We are a qualified charity for Amazon. So if you go through the Smile program and you come to a box where it says, list which charity you want. And I think they also list some of the major ones like St. Jude's or whatever as examples. You can type in NPE Friends Fellowship, and our charity will pop up and you can select it. That way, all of your qualified purchases that you make through Amazon, a small percentage of those purchases will be donated to the fellowship. And we deeply appreciate anybody who will list us as their charity of choice.
Excellent. It's an easy way to help and give back, for sure. Okay, and the Facebook group is, we want people to go through the gateway. So it's www.facebook.com/groups/NPE Gateway, all one word. Once you enter into the gateway, then you're vetted to ensure that you do belong in the group, as we talked about earlier, and then you will be, as you said, escorted into the main group from there.
And if I may also add in, when you are vetted, we have people who try to join who are not NPEs, but we still have a place for them, because there are people who might apply to join and go, well, I'm not an NPE, but I just found out I have a child I didn't know about, and she's 40 years old, and I didn't know what to make of it. Or we may have somebody come in and say, I just found out that my 33-year-old daughter is not my daughter. We have a group specifically for the fathers of NPEs. We have a group specifically for the mothers of NPEs. We provide encouragement to them to focus on healing their families. We have a group called NPE Social that is also for the siblings, the cousins, the co-workers, the friends, anybody who's been impacted or affected by an NPE and wants to learn more about it, or wants to get the tools so they can be more supportive of this person that they care about that's an NPE. That's what the NPE Social Group is for. So if you were impacted by an NPE in any way, shape, or form, go to our Gateway, and we have a place for you where you can learn more about how you can help the person you care about, and also to get the tools that you need if you are traumatized by an NPE discovery in your family. And this includes siblings who just discovered that dad has a child that they didn't know about. It's hard for them to accept that there's another sibling in their family that they were not aware of. So we have a place for everybody.
Awesome. I have a DNA NPE resources kit on my website that people can sign up for. I would like to add some of that information into it. I'll reach out to you or maybe Rebecca, and we'll see if we can't get some of that information in there as well. It's for people on the internet who find me first, and they can sign up, and I send them some information. And obviously the group and the fellowship are included in that. So I'll definitely get that from you.
One more thing I want to emphasize too, we even have specialty groups for people who are donor conceived, whether you are an NPE or not, whether you knew you were, if you grew up always knowing you were donor conceived, but you were looking for a support system for people who are donor conceived, we have an organization, we have a group for that. And that group is for anyone who's donor conceived. It doesn't matter if you're an NPE or not. We also have another group specifically for people who are adopted, who are looking for a support group. And again, with the support group of our adoptees, you don't have to be an NPE. If you've always known you were adopted and you want to be a part of this group, you're going to be welcome there as well. We've got a lot of loving, supporting, compassionate people, leaders in these groups that are there to help you with any questions or confusion or anything that you need. And then also another thing I'd like to wave a flag at in our organization is that for our NPEs specifically, we have our own team of volunteers that we call our DNA NPE Angels. The Angel team will help you decipher your DNA results and help you figure out who your biological parents are. If you don't know, and if you're having trouble understanding it, or you're not sure, you know, I kind of think biological father, but I'm not sure. They can look over all of your DNA matches, and they can help you make that determination. And it's amazing how quickly they can find these things out. We have discovered who a biological parent is from a second cousin. And I think we just had one recently that was the closest match was a third cousin, and we were able to figure it out. Our team is amazing. They're phenomenal. So I just wanted to also let you know that we have that resource available to our NPEs.
Okay, great. I'd like to take a moment. I haven't done this much, but I would like to encourage any of our listeners who are listening to understand that whether you're an NPE or you're not an NPE, because I have listeners who are not NPEs, because I do a wide array of subjects. So anyone who's listening is probably affected or knows someone who is affected. Giving these categories that you just mentioned with the NPEs, not only the NPEs, but their immediate family or their new family. We have donor conceived, we have adoptees. We'd be hard pressed to find anyone who doesn't know someone who is affected by any of these categories.
Absolutely.
So I want to encourage anyone listening with this episode in particular, please share this. Please put a little blurb with it, share it on Facebook. You never, because you may know someone, but you may not realize you know someone. Someone may see it, someone may be keeping something from you. There's a lot of people who aren't public about their story for one reason or another. You never know who you're going to reach, and we'd really like to get the NPE Fellowship information in their hands for the people that need it. So I just wanted to, usually I call it a shameless plug, but I have no shame in this one, asking people to share this one.
Doing all of this for free. we are eager and enthusiastic about welcoming in people who are hurting and helping them get the healing that they need. And we do it all for free.
Yeah.
Our NPE angels are supported through the fellowship. We provide them with the research tools that they need. And it costs money to get these research tools, but that's one of the things the fellowship does as well. So we encourage anybody, if you're hurting in any way, any degree of pain that you're going through, emotional pain, we're here for you. You're not alone.
Absolutely. And we just want to encourage people to help us spread the word. And an end note with helping spread the word, we've already discussed there's 7,200 people in the group. What percentage of you would you say are male in the group?
That's an interesting question. I'm glad you're asking that. We have approximately 12 to 13% that are men and 87 to 88% that are women. And I think that the reason for that dynamic is starting out with the DNA testing. I think that most genealogists are female. And so they're the ones that are the first ones to want to do the DNA testing. And then from there, it's mushroomed out and spilled out to the rest of the family. But I think initially that's one of the reasons why. And I also think that women are conditioned from birth that it's okay to express your feelings, and it's okay to let your pain be shown but men unfortunately are taught big boys don't cry, and if you're tough you don't cry, and if you cry then that's a sign of weakness, and if you say I feel pain, I'm hurting, then that's a sign of weakness. And it's really unfortunate because we also see an increase in heart disease among men because they are holding in all of these feelings and these emotions when it does affect your health. So I think that that's one of the reasons that our dynamic is so skewed with so few men in our group. And so, it's not 50-50, and it should be. We have some specialized support specifically for men, because in my opinion, being an NPE is a really, really big challenge for anyone. But I think it's even harder for men because you have been taught from birth that the family name is your birthright, that you're going to always have, and you'll pass it down from one generation to the next. It's been a part of you for thousands of years. And to have that ripped away from you just makes the whole NPE experience even harder for men. So I think that they especially need the support that we offer.
Yeah. And that's the reason I was bringing that up. If we're at 13 and 87%, obviously the logic of statistics tells you it should be about 50-50. And I think another thing that goes along with what you mentioned is I think women are more apt to probably look on the internet, to search on the internet, to seek help, and that kind of, which is basically what you're saying. And I want to point this out to listeners that there are a lot of men out there who haven't found the group, who need the group, and they don't even know it. And again, sharing this information, and you never know what you're going to say that's going to trigger something for those people to go out and seek the group and to find some support. And it's incredibly necessary because we can do it on our own. And I wasn't sure when my wife recommended the group that I wanted to be, and I found great healing and solitude. Has changed my life. So with that said, I want to thank you for all you do. It's been tremendous help, and whether you've done it intentionally or accidentally, it doesn't matter. I'm one of those people that you've had an amazing impact on, and I do everything I can to pay that forward. But I just wanted you to know that I'm grateful.
Well, thank you, Bradley. I'm grateful for you too, because you've definitely played a part in my healing too.
Thank you. That means a lot to me. All right, let's not get too emotional. So again, all right, let's npefellowship.org. Look for NPE Gateway on Facebook and Facebook groups, and reach out to me if you have any questions. Again, Catherine, thank you so much for joining me. I'm looking forward to NPE Awareness Month. I want to make a big deal about this. I really do. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to the next time we can sit down and chat like this and share more insight to your listeners. That would be great.
Okay, we will do that. I'll be in touch soon, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again. I hated I didn't get to see you in March, but and there's no cruise. So we'll figure it out.
We'll have a great get together again.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, all right. Thanks again, Catherine, and take care, and I'll talk to you soon. All right, bye-bye.